Don't pay $27.49 for this game.
No, that's way
either.
too expensive.
That's at Target. Sorry, Target. You can get that game way cheaper on
I
Amazon.
bought it for $12.
Yeah, cheaply, right? We need to and submit those receipts. I'll just give one example, which is very similar to Jason's. I use this game in my English classroom to teach argumentation as well, called Who Would Win? And you basically pull two cards and they're people. So you might have like Bugs Bunny, not really a people, but you know what I'm saying, and Abraham Lincoln, and then you pull an event, which would be ping pong. And then the kids would have to argue their sides, who would win in a game of ping pong, Bugs Bunny or Abraham Lincoln. But the cool thing about that game is you can easily adapt it to almost any discipline. So if you were teaching, we have a friend who teaches chemistry through graphic novels. So he talks about the Fantastic Four characters and like what sort of reaction does the Human Torch have to emote in order to turn into fire. So if you wanted to take something like Who Would Win and put that onto a chemistry class, you would say you could probably do two different chemical reactions and then pick an event and say which chemical reaction would be more applicable to that event. I don't teach science, so I'm guessing that would work. But if it doesn't, you know what you can do, science people. I'm giving you the framework. You can change the words. Okay? So yeah, Super Fight and Who Would Win, they both come in just small boxes. I keep them in my class. My kids love when we play those on those days, and they go crazy for it.
I'm just going to go back to Catan in terms of a framework, because for those of you that haven't played Settlers of Catan, what it is it's a game where you're attempting to build a civilization before your opponents by managing your resources and allocating them to build essentially transport and housing for your civilization. So all of those things are applicable to a variety of situations as well. So the skin of the game, which is the board and the cards and kind of the theme, is easily replicable. And you can actually see that all across the Catan franchise, because there's like a whole bunch of different types of Catan games. There's everything from the Kids Catan, which is building the civilizations on islands that connect between trading routes, to Star Trek Catan. And it's essentially the same game where you're managing transport and resources. Given that, if you're in a class where your students are new to game creation, you can have 1 or 2 days where they experiment with that game and then learn the framework for it, modify that so it fits your content, whatever it is you're teaching, so that there's this sense of being given a certain amount of resources and then having to manage them for some specific means, whether it's a chemical equation, mathematical formula, history situation, or even I've seen teachers teach parts of speech by managing resources, and then whoever has the highest quality sentence that they will grade based on certain criteria is the one who wins the game.
Hey, can I just ask, because Eric does something really cool. Can you kind of explain how you gamify your entire class, like as a classroom management thing? I think it's really awesome.
Are you talking about the challenge point thing, or okay?
Like with the teams?
Sure.
Real fast.
Yeah. I break my classes up into teams of 4 to 6, and they pick a name for their team, and I let them pick their teams. And throughout the course of the semester, I have challenge points that I give out to each team. And I'm sure some of you do things like this. But for example, like if we take a quiz, the person in the room that has the highest quiz score, their team gets a point. If we do this vocabulary building software called Membeam, where the kids work independently on their own. It's a great software, by the way. Anybody looking to build vocabulary, look into Membeam, membean.com. It's way better than vocabulary.com. No offense if there's anybody in here who works for vocabulary.com. But Membeam is great. Anyway, the kid that does the most minutes in Membeam that week will earn a point for their class. And we do cool, and sometimes I'll just, if there's ties, we'll be doing like a challenge point activity. And if there's a tie, I'll have the teams pick one person from each team, send them out in the hall, and they have to go head-to-head in a challenge. They don't know what it's going to be. It might be 2 minutes in Tetris, and the kid with the highest score wins the point. It may be they have to diagram a sentence, and the team that does it quickest wins the point. They don't know, so I play games with tiebreakers as well. But breaking my classes into those teams has done wonders for just how much they care about stuff. And first team to 5 points, the class gets a party. The kids who won don't have to put money in, and they get to pick the menu. So that, and they get a free get out of an essay pass, which is really, and it's only an AP we do that because we write like 16 essays a semester. But yeah, I found that has increased how much the kids care about stuff tremendously.
So you might, during the course of that, oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask if they ever get down on each other for not performing.
They do, and there are some teams who are like, because the kids pick their teams, so generally in every class there's a team, like the smartest kids are friends. So that happens. So I do some challenges where it has nothing to do with intelligence, and then the other teams will win points, and that levels the playing field. And they hardly ever catch on that that I'm doing that. So I'm really clever with the way I do those things. So they do get down on each other, but they also bring
Modest
each other.
too.
Yeah.
So you might have, in the course of Eric's story, you might have heard him say he makes them play Tetris against one another, and you're like, where are they playing Tetris in school?
Because tell them about Game Club now.
Yeah, I run a game club, so I have at any given time 5 to 6 consoles set up in my classroom on TVs that are around my room. So I have like Mario Kart 64, Tetris, NBA Jam, like old schools, and we have some downtime the kids can play. But yeah, so I just have those things in my room. And it's not a bad idea. If you have an old TV, bring it in your classroom, set up a couple old game consoles on it. It will come in handy. It will come in handy at some point.
So the next question is basically, finding who can I use in my community as a partner? Is it a different type of librarian, educator? But I'm going to challenge you guys, and you guys win extra points, if you tell them how. Because I think that one of the big scary things when people are launching new initiatives is everybody thinks that there's a hack and a silver bullet that's just going to somehow get the result that you need. And sometimes, I won't say there's a silver bullet, but sometimes just giving the right words and approaching people in the right way make it much easier. So how do you get partners? How do you make things happen?
I think the first answer to that question is expect to fail. And not to be a jerk, but just to be realistic, like Jason, I'm sure the first couple times you built a nation, it was difficult and it was a struggle to negotiate all of the different variables and figure it out,
Yes.
And building resources and developing curriculum and figuring out the right way to teach something, it takes several iterations. So yeah, I would say expect that things aren't going to go perfectly the first time, but there are going to be nuggets, like the To Kill a Mockingbird game, right? Like, we'll try it. Was it totally successful, and do we want to do it again? Maybe not, but it was a step in the right direction towards figuring something else out that might work a little better.
And then in terms of finding people to help you out, go and ask people who run comic book stores and people who run game stores. They are always looking to access the public.